And again, if you feel like you haven't been digesting well, if you feel really thirsty, you might not be getting the right type of hydration. And you may notice that you feel more hydrated from incorporating certain foods frequently. If you're like, oh yeah, I've had a lot of fresh lettuce and tomatoes and cucumber, and yeah, I didn't drink that much water. And in fact, because that's more roughage to digest, I would really recommend not drinking a ton of water before eating a big salad meal like that. It's a lot of fiber to break down. You really want the full strength of your enzymes in your gut, but you're not necessarily going to feel super thirsty because you're getting all that hydration from your food. Hey there, welcome to the Female Health Solution podcast, where we discuss women's health, hormones, and everything else in between. Join me as we dive into the tools that you need to live your healthiest life. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Female Health Solution podcast. Today we're going to be talking about hydration, but doing hydration a little bit differently than just drinking water. There's been things I've actually seen on social media where other countries, Europe specifically, will make fun of Americans for carrying around these big water bottles. There's been SNL skits on it, all these things. And people have tons of social media posts about growing up when we were kids, right? I was born in 1980. So I grew up through the 80s, 90s, right? I remember taking a water bottle to sports practices. I didn't have a water bottle in class. In fact, I don't even think they were allowed. You weren't allowed to have a water bottle in class. I didn't have a water bottle in my car when I was driving around. And now I take my water with me when we're going places, mostly because the kids, right? When we go play, Mom, I'm thirsty. Anyway, whatever, right? We drank from the garden hose, all the things, right? But how did we stay hydrated? How did that happen? And when I list off some of these foods, there are women who have told me that they are terrified to eat some of these foods because there's so much sugar in them. It's all sugar and da. These foods are very hydrating. That to say, you get a lot of hydration from your food. So if you are doing any type of fasting, and when I work with women, when we work together, right, in a group or a program, and we talk about doing different types of intermittent fasting for the female body, one of the things that I really teach on is hydration for your system, because if you're not eating foods, you're not getting your full hydration in. So you really need to take account for that, because you do not want to restrict your food and also be dehydrated. That's super hard on your system. So when we look at this, how do you get hydration from, how does that work, right? Well, overall, hydration is not just water. I drink water that has minerals in it. I drink spring water. Now, if I don't have access to spring water, or I'm drinking tap water or something like that, is that okay? Sure. But again, make sure you're getting minerals in. And that's just for regular water. I also add in electrolytes and sugars into my water, especially when I'm being really active or during a workout, after a workout, that type of a thing, because it uploads that water molecule into your cells by having a sugar with it. You need minerals, the electrolytes, and the sugar to go into the cell. That's kind of the basic premise of it. That's how you hydrate the best. If you're going to use some type of drink or something, right? My favorite is using an orange and a raspberry flavor together. Delicious. I love it. But that's it. But if you don't have access to that, or you're traveling or something, or like, oh my gosh, how do I stay hydrated? Or my kids have been playing outside, or it's super hot out. What do I do? Well, think about what are some of the common foods that are summer foods. Think summer picnic, right? What's one of the first foods that comes to mind? Watermelon. Watermelon is like the most hydrating food there is. I think it's like 93% hydration for you. You can also sprinkle a little bit of salt on there. I don't enjoy that, but there are people who do that. And that's adding in those salts as well to help remineralize yourself as well as hydrate. But using food to help hydrate is fantastic, right? And if you think about how you ate as a kid, so this is one of the things when people make fun of, how women carry around water bottles all the time and all these other things. I'm like, yeah, because so many of us are, women have been told that fruit is the worst thing ever for your diet. There's sugars and you shouldn't be eating that and blah, 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 and all these things. I once worked with a woman who hadn't eaten fruit in over 5 years. 5 years without eating a single piece of fruit because it was sugar and it was bad for her. That's what a trainer had told her, and she had stuck to it. She really missed fruit. I was like, eat some fruit, man. Right? That's how you stay hydrated. If it's hot outside and you're sweating and, again, as a kid running around at a picnic or something, what was one of the foods? Watermelon. It's fantastic. Yes. Um, Along with that, you're going to look at berries, strawberries, all that stuff, very hydrating. And then other sweet fruits, peaches, plums, cantaloupes. Those are also very hydrating, right? Are they as much as watermelon? No, but again, still very hydrating. Vegetables can be hydrating as well, right? Tomatoes are very hydrating. I don't mind salt on a tomato slice. That I think is kind of good. So I don't know. To me, that's a little more savory flavor that I enjoy. But that's a great way to hydrate too. Cucumber, right? Of course, cucumber is going to be very hydrating. Yeah. Celery, lettuce, and then, and this is like, these are specific foods, fruits and veggies that are hydrating that aren't things like, oh, have a smoothie, have some soup, have bone broth. Well, yeah, that's like liquid. You're like adding water to whatever you're consuming. Of course, that's going to be hydrating. Duh, right? But these are other foods to incorporate. If you're worried about staying hydrated on a regular basis, add these foods in on a regular basis. Or if you feel like you haven't got enough water and you're like, oh, I feel so thirsty, but I can't keep drinking water. What do I do? Because a lot of times, what happens if we drink too much water is it actually dilutes the stomach acid that we have. One of the worst things that you can do is to drink a ton of water and then eat a meal. This is also what we were told to do for at least a decade and a half, from what I remember, right? Through the 90s and early to mid 2000s, the diet culture. I remember reading this stuff in Cosmo and Glamour and all these things. Diet tips. Drink a large glass of water before your meal so you feel full faster. Not only are you then restricting your nutrients, but you're also watering down your stomach acids that you need to digest those foods. Duh. One of the best things to do for your digestion is to actually stop hydrating, stop drinking a ton of water up to 30 minutes before you eat, and then have something savory, a little bit of apple cider vinegar and a little bit of water. That's going to kickstart your digestion. Yeah. Whole different way of looking at the body. Now, I will have a water bottle and sip on water, just a little bit like that throughout the day. That's more because I talk all day. It's not because I'm actually thirsty and need the hydration. I will get thirsty, during a workout or something, when I wake up in the morning, rehydrate my system, all these things. But when I have my water with me or I have a cup of tea during the day, it's because I'm thirsty because I'm just talking so much. I mean, I can talk for 30 minutes, an hour, and not have anything, but it wears on my vocal cords. So that is different if you're taking little sips of water just to kind of rehydrate your mouth because you're talking or something versus chugging a ton of water. You want to keep hydrated, but there's a lot of ways to do it besides just chugging water, and make sure you utilize food as a hydration tool and tactic. It's that easy. It's that easy to do, incorporate, and do on a regular basis. And again, if you feel like you haven't been digesting well, if you feel really thirsty, you might not be getting the right type of hydration. And you may notice that you feel more hydrated from incorporating certain foods frequently. If you're like, oh yeah, I've had a lot of fresh lettuce and tomatoes and cucumber, and yeah, I didn't drink that much water. And in fact, because that's more roughage to digest, I would really recommend not drinking a ton of water before eating a big salad meal like that. It's a lot of fiber to break down. You really want the full strength of your enzymes in your gut. But you're not necessarily going to feel super thirsty because you're getting all that hydration from your food. Yeah. This is how it was, right? Like, don't you remember being a kid and eating these foods and then like running in, like playing outside, running into the house, and you might drink some water or drink water from the hose for a little bit, but then you'd run around playing and you drink water because you were hot. But it wasn't just constantly needing water all day long. Very, very different thing. So that's what I got for you guys today. Remember, like, thinking about your hydration is really important. Thinking about and understanding how your body gets hydrated, stays hydrated is essential. And I'm so glad that you're here learning these things, diving into this, and some of the amazing things that you can do to hydrate overall. Yes, adding minerals to your water, easy peasy thing to do. And if you notice that you feel less thirsty, need less water, that's fantastic. Your system is staying more hydrated overall. But you don't always need to use just water, right? You can use mineral supplements and then use food to stay fully hydrated all day, every day. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being here. Let me know if you have any other questions or need anything. And yeah, I'm so excited to talk about hydration and everything. And I will see you guys later. Thank you for joining me on today's episode. If you would like more information, just head on over to drbethwesty.com for all the show notes and information from today's episode. And if you're looking for more community, more support, you can find and follow me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and I would love to see you there.